You're working harder than you ever have. The sessions are booked, you're editing till midnight, you're answering messages on the weekend, and none of it is adding up to what you actually want. Real money in your account and time with your family. Doing more of the same isn't going to fix that. More sessions, more marketing, more hustle. I've seen it happen over and over. But I've also seen the flip side. Photographers who switch to the boutique portrait model and completely change their income and their lives. More money, fewer sessions, and their families actually see them again. If they can do it, you can do it too. Today, I'm breaking down exactly why photographers are stuck in 2026 and how the boutique portrait model changes can get you unstuck. The way you serve clients, how you think about AI, and the mindset shift that lets you finally charge what you're worth. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Sarah Petty, founder of the Photography Business Institute, and I've helped over 33,000 photographers fix their business model and increase their income without sacrificing family time. Listen, the reason photographers aren't making money in 2026 isn't the market, it isn't the competition, it's the business model. Here's why most photographers don't see it. They never realize there are different models to choose from. What happens instead is this. Someone tells you that you have some talent. Maybe someone offers to pay you. You're off to the races. Maybe you Google what to charge, or you look at what other photographers are doing and you kind of copy, modify it, go a little lower. You offer mini sessions, digital files, low prices. And when you pick your prices, you're probably using what your competitors charge as your guide, aren't you? The thing is, that assumes that they're actually making money. There are so many talented photographers doing this as a hobby, not a business. They're not trying to pay themselves. So if you're basing your prices on theirs, you're copying a model that was never built to make money. I think competition is a good thing. Seriously, competition proves there's a market for what we do. Think about something bigger like cars. How many cars does the average person buy in a lifetime? 8, 10 maybe? Now think about how many times a family needs portraits throughout their lives. When they're a baby, when they're toddlers, when they're in every sport and activity, when the little babies lose their teeth and then they do high school photos, milestones, pets. People want photography over and over. The market is enormous. There are people who deeply value wall portraits. For the ones who don't yet, that is our job, to show them how incredible it is and how amazing it feels to look at the walls every morning and just feel so much love for the people in your life. The real problem is how photographers are competing. A photographer starts out, doesn't feel confident yet, so they price low. The logic is, I'll start cheap, build my portfolio, get better, and I'll raise prices over time. I understand the logic, but that's also what's quietly destroying you. When you start out and you kind of price like McDonald's, you're teaching the market that you're McDonald's. And then when you try to charge like a high-end steakhouse, people are confused, and a confused mind doesn't buy. By selling only digital files, it makes this worse. When your product is a raw file, a digital file, you're kind of like a grocery store selling raw ingredients that have to be finished by someone else. And you, as a photographer, are racing against free because everyone has a camera in their pocket. That's not a race anyone wins long term. That's why the digital file model is completely broken. To choose a profitable business model, you first have to get clear on something most photographers have completely wrong. What are the clients actually buying when they hire you? And that's why you need to sell the destination, not the airplane. Because this is the second reason photographers aren't making money in 2026. They're selling this session, not what this session means. That's what I mean by sell the destination, not the airplane. For example, when a family hires you, what they come in possibly wanting or asking for because they don't really know, and what they actually want and what will thrill them are often two very different things. What they say is, hey, we need some family photos. What they actually want is to feel loved, to feel seen, to feel celebrated, and to give their family that same feeling. And when photographers truly understand this, price almost doesn't matter, because what we're selling is one of the most meaningful things a family can invest in. Once basic needs are met, that is the next most important thing, and it is our job to paint that picture for them. I think about my own kids growing up. The portraits on our walls have always told them they were loved. They grew up seeing themselves as being celebrated. That's priceless, and I want that for every family. That's the destination, the session, and whether you offer prints or gallery wrap canvas or framed, whatever surface you're printing on, that's the airplane. And when you can learn to talk about your work this way, you can literally charge whatever you want. The right clients will say yes with joy because you're painting a picture that they want. As you're practicing this, stop leading with packages. Instead, say something like, tell me about your family. Who in your family needs to be celebrated right now? Lead with the destination. And when you do, those right clients show up. The ones who are already excited about their session are more excited before the session even starts. They're already justifying wanting this to themselves on the first phone call. Those are your people. Once photographers learn to have that conversation, everything changes. And once you know what your clients are really buying, you also see why so many photographers are getting the next part wrong. This is number 3, the mistake that compounds everything. Photographers think good selling means upselling. It doesn't, and that's why they're not making money. Here's what this looks like. I don't even like the word upselling because it sounds so salesy. The question instead is, how can I serve my clients in every possible way? Because good selling is serving. The key instead is talking about your products up front, as well as your entire process, not waiting till the end. Often you've exhausted people if you wait till the end. They need to know it from the beginning. Before this session, this is a non-negotiable for me, but it's a pre-session meeting. I'll say something like, we include frames on all of our artwork. After your portraits come in, I'll show you options at that point. You might want to upgrade to something custom. We have these gorgeous Italian frames that are just scrumptious, but we'll talk about that at that point. I plant the seed. I make it sound exciting. So when we get to that conversation at the framing appointment, it's the natural next step in a process they've been looking forward to. At that point, your client has invested so much time, so much excitement. They've seen their images, they've fallen in love. That investment of time and energy makes it so much easier for them to say yes to all the extra little things that make their artwork so amazing. This mindset of serving has to run through every single touch point if you want to keep from being salesy. This is the core of everything I teach my students at every touch point is this. Every time you interact with a client, you're creating hunger and desire. On the first phone call, you mentioned legacy pieces that you create for families. During the pre-session consultation, you find out what they're needing and you paint a picture of how they're going to feel when those pieces of art are hanging in their home. During this session, right after clicking the shutter, you might say, oh, wow, that piece, that's your mantle showstopper. Oh, that gave me goosebumps. In fact, I already have the perfect Italian frame in mind for that one. You may not want to upgrade, that's cool, but I can see it. Then at the ordering appointment, you know this family by now, and you make suggestions based on what you've learned about them. They place their order. Then at the framing appointment, maybe you bring up a second album for the grandparents or holiday cards or a gift piece for someone special. Every touch point is a chance to serve them more deeply. Here's what that looks like in real life. Take Tassie. She'd been photographing since 2008, working hard the entire time, but stuck in a hybrid model. Prints, digitals, and it just wasn't profitable. Then she started implementing my system and landed her first Julie. I know you're like, wait, what does that mean? In my community, we refer to a client who invests $1,000 or more on printed products only. So that's wall art, a book, an album, even a framed collection, whatever that looks like. Using our boutique process, we call it a Julie because that was my first right fit client. After going through the boutique portrait system that we created, she finally saw how much she'd been leaving on the table. And once she had the system working, it was like a well-oiled machine. One client who came in for a $200 little mini walked out with a series of 4 of relationships and then a series of 9 funny expressions. Then when the family started talking about replacing the big wall art in their home with a family portrait, the husband said, "The portrait would have to be sizable though." And Tassie just smiled and said, "No problem." That's a photographer who knows her system. Then there was another student, Carmen. She lives in a town of 2,000 people in a forest. She says, no studio, and she was charging $150 for 3 digital files when she found us. After going through the boutique portrait system, she now had the pricing and the confidence to talk about it and back it up. Or Rachel, who had her first in-person ordering appointment and walked away with a $4,400 order. Her reaction was, "Is this real life?" She used our sales call training, followed the system, showed up for her client with the full intention to serve, and her client invested big because of it. Or Amy, 18 months before her first big win, she had never had an order over $200, not once. Then she drove 50 minutes, 50, to a session, and that family placed a $4,347 order, paid in full. Her words, just stay out of their pocket and serve, serve, serve. Amy had never broken $200, and then she did that with the boutique system. That's what a system does, my friend. By the way, if you're finding this helpful, make sure to subscribe to my weekly newsletter where I share more nuggets like this and strategies and tactics that can change the game for you. You don't think you're good enough, but I know you are. So I'm putting the link in the description for you. Here's another reason photographers are stuck in 2026. They have no idea whether their business model is actually making them money or not. That's the difference between a profitable business and a busy but broke one. If you're selling digital files for $200, what does it take to make $100,000 a year? Do that math. 500 clients. Booking 500 clients isn't unrealistic. There are some people who do it, but when you get there, I think your life stinks. It's hard. You're out of time. All that revenue has gone to pay someone else to help you catch up in editing, retouching. So you're outsourcing all of your profit just to stay afloat, and there's not much left for you. Because you're out of time, you can't grow. The ceiling is real, and it's right there. Now picture a boutique portrait photographer with the same 100K goal. Instead of 500 clients, they need 20, 30, 40. And as their system gets stronger, their average orders go up and up and up. The upside is unlimited. One of my students named Andy landed a $12,000 order after 8 weeks with me on his very first session using this system. His very first. Think about what his family life and his next month looked like. Think about the time he got back. That is a completely different life. One Julie who invests $1,000 or more on wall portraits on a book or an album can replace 5, 10, 15 of those digital file sessions. Here's your homework, because I want you to pause this video, jot it down, and then do it later today. I want you to add up every dollar you've been paid for photography in the last year. Divide that by the number of sessions that you've done. That's your average order. Write it down. Now the second part. I want you to ask yourself, how many of those sessions would you need in a year to earn a real income that actually contributes to your family? How many hours would that take? And if those numbers don't make you happy, that's your sign. Not that you're not talented enough, not that the market is too competitive. It's a sign that you need a different model. Go model and mentor shopping, my friend, instead of client shopping. Find someone actually living the life you want and build your pricing and process around that. Not around what some photographer on Instagram appears to be doing. Raising your prices attracts better clients. Yes, yes, and yes. I can tell whether someone's the right fit in the very first phone call. Higher prices to me act like a filter. If a client is going to haggle or fuss about the prices on the first phone call, they're going to do that about every single step. But the right fit clients, they might have some questions, but they're already justifying why it's worth it. They're already excited. They're already picturing that portrait on their wall. Telling you, higher prices filter out the wrong clients, and that's not a problem. That's the point. And yet, even when photographers understand all of this, something still holds them back. And it's not the math, it's what we call the head trash. A lot of photographers might understand the model, the math, the system, but there's one more thing that's keeping them from making money in 2026, and it's what's up here, my friend. For so many photographers, the money problem isn't a business problem. It's a belief problem. I hear this story so often. I need to be a much better photographer before I can increase my prices. And even if I get better, there's so much competition, I just can't ask for more. Most of it isn't what they think. Some of it is insecurity about work quality. I had that too, but that's fixable with practice and the right mentorship. And listen, you have a digital camera. I messed up sessions with film cameras because I couldn't see the back of the camera. So you can make progress so much faster. But most of the money problems I see come from something much older, something handed down long before anyone ever picked up a camera. Our grandparents or great-grandparents lived through the Great Depression, where money was so scarce that scarcity became survival. And that generation raised their kids, who raised their kids or us. Those generational shackles are heavy, even though they're invisible. And a lot of us are walking around carrying beliefs about money that we actually never chose. We're not the kind of people who ask for that. Who are we to charge that? Money doesn't grow on trees. Those aren't your beliefs. They're borrowed from people who lived through something you never experienced. Then there's the fear of raising prices. The fear that if you ask for more, clients will disappear. That fear comes from not knowing what to do or how to do it. That's really anxiety, my friend, the worry of an outcome you don't desire. Think about a math test. If you walked into that classroom knowing you had the answers to the test, would you have fear or anxiety? No. You'd be confident. You'd breeze right through. That's what a system does. That's what we give photographers inside the Photography Business Institute. It's a system. And when you have it, fear doesn't stand a chance, my friend. You are worth every penny. And once you clear that head trash, there's one more piece to this. The last reason I think photographers are leaving money on the table in 2026, they're treating AI as a threat instead of the advantage it actually is. AI isn't going to destroy your photography business. A lot of us think we're the only ones who can do what we do, our retouching, our editing, our eye. I felt exactly the same way, and I held on to that work for years because I was convinced that people come to me because of my style, and I was the only one who could do it that way. Then I realized I was the bottleneck in my own business, and I either had to teach someone else or I was going to forever be bottlenecked there. So I brought on another photographer. I trained her, and after watching her edit, literally 2 sessions, she was better than me. Faster too. Sorry, Charlie. Now, what if you let AI do the commodity work, the retouching, the editing, the repetitive tasks that eat your hours? If you can teach a person, you can teach AI. And if AI can do those things better and faster, why are you spending your most valuable time on them? Set those systems up. Train your AI tools to edit in your style. Then spend your time doing what only you can do, serving your clients. I use AI every single day in my own business. I use it to start projects when I'm staring at a blank page. I use it to get organized, to prioritize, especially when everything feels urgent at once. When I'm about to walk into a conversation that might be heated or sensitive, I use AI to go through all my talking points, so I go in prepared. My team is training AI to edit and retouch in our style. They already have a tool that edits and retouches me because they're having to photograph me so often for YouTube thumbnails, for example. We use it for ideation when we're starting a project, for getting feedback on things we've created. What we do not do is ask AI to just create for us. It's a tool, a fast one, but the voice, the relationships, the creativity, that's still us, and it always will be. What stays human? The personal communication, the text the day before a session. Julie, we're so excited tomorrow. Did you find everything in that blue-green palette we talked about? Let me know if you have any questions. The warmth is irreplaceable. No AI will ever replicate that. But here's what I hear from photographers all the time. Sarah, what about clients who just want AI images? They can get that for free now. I think about this like graphic design. There are people out there creating free designs with AI tools right now. Some of them are honestly pretty ugly, but a great graphic designer isn't targeting those people. They're targeting clients who value great design, who know the difference, who want the difference. Photographers are no different. Not everyone will value what we do, and that's perfectly okay. Those are not our people. Our job is to find the people who get it and value it. The clients who want average, they'll go to AI. Your people want you. You didn't get into photography to be broke and burn out. You got into it because you love people and you love your craft. This business can work. It doesn't have to just be a dream, my friend. It just needs the right model. A system that clearly serves the client at every touch point, and the belief that you are worth every penny. If you want help in making that happen in your own business, please book a call with my team. I'm putting the link in the description, and I'll see you on the next one.